think we got a heck of a shot of winning. We can beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
David Wells has pitched a perfect game. 27 up, 27 down. Baseball immortality for David Wells.
And it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run. This one has a chance. Home run! Mike Piazza, and the Mets lead 3-2. Bates against Joseph. Bates in on goal. Metro! Defend Metro! And the Rangers have one more hill to climb, baby!
This is the Cross Island Sports Network, where iconic moments get iconic coverage.
You are listening to the Cross Island Podcast. Action! Hosted by Lyle Gillen and Errol Marks. Welcome to a new show of the Cross Island Podcast. My name is Errol Marks, my co-host, Mr. Lyle Gillian. Lyle, what's up, buddy?
Nothing much. Doing well. Looking forward to having a fun episode.
Fun episode or just amazing episode?
Amazing, of course.
Well, we have a great show lined up for you guys. We will get into, obviously, the New York Islanders. Are they buyers or are they sellers? The New York Rangers right now in the middle of a President Trophy race. What are their targets right now for the NHL Trade Deadline? MLB, obviously, spring training is right here. The Yankees are playing pretty good ball, but I know it's just spring training, and Juan Soto looks pretty damn good right now. And some of these young kids that we're seeing the Yankees being brought up right now have been fantastic as well. So we will get into that. And so are the Mets. The Mets right now trying to figure out what's going on with their rotation after losing Zenga for a significant amount of time. Could be about a month and a half, depending on the injury. The shoulder injury, it doesn't look good. And usually when something like this happens like this, it could be shoulder surgery. You're going to maybe hear something with a UCL as the season moves forward. If he comes back and he's 100% healthy, we will see. So we will get into the Yankees and the Mets. The New York Knicks right now playing great basketball, losing their last game against the Celtics, right now trying to get healthy. They did get some reinforcements back. OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson are three guys that they're absolutely missing right now. So hopefully very, very soon, OG will be back in that lineup. And so will Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle, which they've been absolutely craving back the offense from, obviously, Julius Randle. So we will get into the Knicks. And maybe if we have some time, we'll get into the combine. What should the Jets and the Giants do in the offseason as the Jets are looking for a backup quarterback? Because Zach could be on his way out. It looks like they're going to mail him somewhere. It doesn't look like they're going to get much for that piece of mail, but hey, maybe they could buy a stamp with it. So Zach Wilson looks like he's on his way out. And the Jets could be looking at Ryan Tannehill, I've been hearing, and Jacoby Brissett is another guy. That's another name that we've heard over the last couple of days. So it's very interesting where the Jets go. And then
talk about the leak with Sauce Gardner.
No, what is the leak right now?
Someone hacked his Snapchat and leaked some photos
of him.
Oh yeah.
How wonderful. Well, tell Sauce to send us some of that sauce. Anyway. Oh man. And so so we will get into the Jets, the Giants as well. What do the Giants do? Do they go after a quarterback at number 6? They're sitting right behind the Chargers at 6. Do they go after Malik Neighbors? He's the big name that everybody keeps speaking about. The Giants looking for a wide receiver to help out on the outside, something the Giants haven't had since Odell Beckham, a game-changing wide receiver. So we'll get into the Giants and where do they go in the draft? What should the Giants look at the Combine this weekend where quite a few superstars could be in the realm for the Giants to go after. So let's go into the Islanders first, because this is the story, and it looks like the Islanders are done. After losing yesterday against the Tampa Bay Lightning, it looks like, first of all, that game was so very important for the New York Islanders because they're one of the teams that the Islanders are chasing.
Yep.
And you sit here right now, And it just doesn't look like they have it. Sorokin has been a shell of himself this year, maybe because of his off the ice training in the off season. I don't know. It's Shesterkin. He has not been the same goalie he was last year either. So, and for the last 2 years. So, both Shesterkin and Sorokin in the offseason need to look at who they're training with, because the one that they're training with this offseason hasn't really helped them. As a matter of fact, probably made them worse. And they're just not getting enough offense right now. They're not getting enough offense, and their defense is absolutely putrid. Okay, and I see Patrick Waugh decided to put Pelech and Pulak back. It really doesn't matter. And I say kids because they're still in their late 20s, mid 20s right now. I think Pelech is 26, 27. Pulak, I think, is 27, 28. They're both still fairly young. They still have a lot left in the tank as far as defensemen are concerned. But right now, they're just not playing well. Both guys coming back from their injury, they're just not the same defensive players they were with Barry Trotz. This was two of the best defensemen in the league with Barry Trotz. And ever since Lane Lambert has taken over and now Patrick Waugh, I think they've lost the will. I think they've lost the way to play defense. And the Islanders are just not the same team they were with Barry Trotz. This was a top 3 defense in the league, had some of the best goaltending we've seen the Islanders have since the late 80s and early 90s. They don't have it this year. And now you go into the trade deadline, which is what, a week and a half away?
March 8th. Yeah,
so a week and a half away. And what do the Islanders do? And I think the Islanders and Lou Lamoriello have to look at selling. And they have not looked at being sellers for the last 3 years. As a matter of fact, they were buyers and they traded away first-round draft picks. The Islanders haven't had a first-round draft pick in 3 years. 3 years. And
longer than that.
Oh, it's 3 years.
No, they haven't had one since Holmstrom.
Yeah, Holmstrom was in 4 years ago.
That was 2019? It
was in Vancouver. I was there.
So that was
4 years ago.
4 years ago, not 3.
Yeah, 4 years ago. Yeah. So it was 3 years. 4 years ago, he was drafted. I think Holmstrom was drafted, whatever. It was 2019, 2020. And right now it's 2024. It just started the new year. So it's really 3 years. He hasn't drafted a first-round draft pick. And Holmstrom looks like he's a decent player, but not a great player. He's a good penalty killer. He's very good at the shorthanded goals. I think he's first in the league when it comes to shorthanded goals. That's not saying much. This team is the worst penalty killing team in the NHL, and they're just not doing anything. And there's nothing that stands out. Now, Noah Dobson looks like he's a player. You were saying that Romanoff has had a better season this year. They do have some players and obviously players that you can build around, Barzal being one of them. But do you keep Barzal? You going into the trade deadline? You go into the trade deadline right now. He's having a pretty decent season. You can get a lot back for Matthew Barzal. And I know you're probably going to keep Bo Horvat because he seems like he's the next captain of this team. That's what I think. Because to me, they have to try to get rid of that Anders Lee contract. That contract is killing them. It is killing them. And now you have players, you have pieces you can move. You move, and maybe interesting pieces you could trade for, and maybe get a late or maybe an early second-round draft pick for. J.G. Pajot is one of those guys that's not having a very good season offensively. He's one of the top 10 faceoff guys in the NHL. He's been that for the last, I would say, 5 years. He's a good faceoff guy. There's a lot of playoff teams looking for those faceoff guys. That's something that the Islanders should absolutely look to move. Brock Nelson, another one. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Could they re-sign him?
Next year.
Well,
end of next year, he's a free agent.
All right. Well, then you have control of him for one more year. So move him. You're not going to be able to keep him. So move him.
There was a report that Lou Lamoriello got calls regarding Brock, but I'm not sure of the source. I think it was an iffy source, but I would believe it with him only having a year left. I think that trading Brock is probably the best option right now, and it's not really a sell or a going into a rebuild. You're getting rid of him, and you would be getting back a first-round pick, probably a good prospect and a good young player.
You think they're going to get 3 players for Brock Nelson?
I think they could, yeah.
I don't know who's going to be willing to give up prospects like that for Brock Nelson. I think you could get a first-round draft pick for him if he goes to the right team and a team is looking for that offensive weapon, a second-line center that can win faceoffs and can put the puck in the net, has a tremendous shot, especially a wrist shot. Yeah, there are teams out there. I could see the Lightning being willing to make a move like that. They need center help.
I'll tell you what, if he was on a different team, he'd be a Ranger already.
He'd be a Ranger already? Well,
but they need another center desperately, and I think a player of that mold would fit perfectly. No chance in hell is he getting traded to the Rangers while on the Islanders. That ain't happening. But I think they have a hole there, and they need another center to replace Hedl and to be on that third line. That's really what I would do if I was the Rangers, but that's not happening with the Islanders. The Islanders are not going to trade him there, but they can definitely get a good haul for him right now.
I don't know about a good haul. I think the Islanders could get at least two pieces. I think they could get a first-round draft pick. Maybe you can get a second or third-tier player, a third-line type of player. You're not going to get a lot for Brock Nelson. One, and I'm only speaking the truth, unless you're going to – first of all, he's 32 years old. And teams are going to look at that. Next year, he has one more year left on his contract, like you were saying. So next year, he's 33. By the time he's ready to have a new contract, he'll be 34 years old. How much is he going to be worth at the age of 34? I don't know. And I think teams are going to look at that. Now, being that they have control of him for at least one more year, I think Brock is making about $7 million. It's an affordable contract. I could see that there'll be teams in the East and the West that are right now fighting for a playoff spot that can land a Brock Nelson. The only problem right now with Brock Nelson that worries me for the Islanders is I just think that Lou is that type of GM where he thinks that this team still has the capability of making the playoffs. They don't, okay? And any Islander fan that thinks that they do and the Islanders have a chance to make the playoffs is blind. This team is not good enough this year. They're not getting enough defense. Patrick Roy needs a full offseason to figure out how this team is going to work next year. Now, maybe trading away pieces and adding some young and youthful talent onto this roster for next year could help the Islanders, could help, trade aspects in the offseason where they can use some of those young players and trade them off to add players that fit Patrick Roy's style of game. But right now, the Islanders, they're not good, okay? They're just not. And I'm sorry for all the Islander fans. I do the pregame show for the Islanders on 103.9 FM every Saturday with Speedy, okay? I'm not going to sit here and beat around the bush. I am an Islander fan. I sit here and I speak the truth about this team. This organization needs to figure out if Lou Lamoriello is the guy to take this team to the promised land right now. It seems like he's washed up. This is just the truth. He's washed up. He's an 80-year-old GM that's had a lot of success with the Devils and in his career. He started off in basketball and football. I mean, he's been running different styles of sports for years, and now he's been in the NHL for over 30 years, 40 years, and I just think that his style of game doesn't fit the NHL anymore. The speed game does. The Islanders don't have any speed. Yeah, they have Matthew Barzal. Okay, you want to say that's the only speed they have? That's probably. I don't want to hear about Pierre Engvall. That was a horrible contract in the offseason. I'm sorry. It was a horrible contract. I don't care how much speed he has. If he can't put the puck in the net, what use is he? And that's all I'm going to say about Pierre Engvall. I think they made a lot of mistakes this offseason. I think Sorokin was a good contract. We expected Sorokin to have a great year. It just, for some reason, I think he hasn't pieced it together, and it looks like he got used too much.
It's a combination of things. It was a combination. I think he lost his confidence right now. I think you look at how the team played under Lane Lambert and the style they were playing. I think that he was left out to dry a lot, and he lost a lot of his confidence. Right after Watt took over, he started playing well, but he still doesn't look the same right now. And I think I don't think he's going to get it back together this year. I think next year he'll be fine, but there's just too many problems structurally, and they need to change things on the PK. If they had a PK as good as they have in the past few years, they're 100% a playoff team right now. 100%. Right now, I think it's 70%. If it's like league average, I think they're a playoff team. And that's probably been the thing that hurt them the most for me, in my opinion. There's been a lot of games where they've lit up like 3 power play goals and just killed them. That's what happened against the Rangers. They went in 3 power play goals in that game.
The only way the Islanders make the playoffs, and right now Philadelphia has the third spot in the Metropolitan Division, and they have 67, and the Islanders have 60 points. The only way the Islanders make the playoffs is if Philadelphia goes in this losing streak, and right now they're not playing good hockey. So there's a chance. Philadelphia in their last, I think, 10 games, they're 5-4-1, and they've lost 2 in a row. Okay, the Islanders, they've lost 2 in a row. They've played teams that they should be able to be competitive with. And I'm not saying the Lightning aren't a good team. They're having
the Islanders have to have a couple games in hand, though.
I'm sorry?
I think the Islanders have a couple games in hand on the Flyers.
They have 2 games. Yep. 2 games in hand. But again,
and they play them towards the end of the year.
They play them once.
April 1st. So,
but who's the bet on the Islanders of winning these games? I mean, they have not looked good.
I would not bet on them on winning some of these games. But the thing is, you look at the Islanders. They have to they have to essentially gain a game on the Flyers and then beat them when they play them in Philly and win those 2 games in hand.
They need to be.
It's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen.
They play Philadelphia in the last month of the season, so they have to cut it close to at least 3 points if they have any chance of catching Philadelphia. And I can't see Philadelphia's schedule. I don't know. I haven't pulled up the schedule, but I looked at their schedule the other day. Their schedule is fairly easy. Okay. I don't think their schedule is difficult. And that's the thing when you look at the Philadelphia Flyers, if you want to catch this team, you got to hope that they're playing, better teams. And I just don't think they are in the month of March. Okay. They have the Capitals, they have Ottawa, they have the Blues, they have Florida, they have Tampa, then they have San Jose, then they have Toronto, Boston, Toronto. This is hard right over here, this stretch. And then it goes after the Rangers in the 26th. They have the Canadiens, they have the Blackhawks. And in the month of April, they have the Islanders, they have Buffalo, they have Columbus, they have the Canadiens, they have the Rangers, they have the Devils, and they have the Capitals. The last month of April and the tail end of the month of, because the March's schedule, all the way from the 7th, I would say, to the 26th is hard.
Mm-hmm.
All right? It is hard. They have
a good chunk in the middle that's really difficult.
This is the hard. But guess what? If they could stay afloat in the month of March, guess what? They got the Islanders, Buffalo, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Canadiens, the Rangers right there, which are probably going to sit players because
– and you can't leave out the Devils.
I'm sorry?
The
Devils are done. The Devils are done. They're not making the playoffs. I'm sorry.
They have a game in hand. They could definitely end up passing the Flyers too.
They're not passing the Flyers.
Capitals have 3 games in hand on the Flyers. They could
another team that's not. They're a shell of themselves. They're an old team.
Oh no, they are 100%. I think Pittsburgh's going to sell at the deadline. Capitals could too. Devils won't. Devils will stay put. It's possible for the Devils, Capitals, Penguins, or Islanders to all make it.
So let me ask you a question, Lyle, because you're an Islander guy and you're an Islander fan. So am I, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be honest with being an Islander fan and looking at my assessment of this team. And my assessment here right now is this team worth trading away prospects or draft
to trade. They don't have any prospects to trade. Nobody that's worth anything to trade in that farm system.
I'm just saying they have some defensemen that a lot of people like.
No,
I mean they have.
They have the worst ranked.
The kid George, everybody likes. They think that he's going to be a star in this league, and they got to steal. They got him in the fourth round.
I don't think he's worth anything that you could get to make this team better.
I understand, but the only reason why George wasn't called up yet is, one, he's not in Bridgeport yet, but they love this kid. They absolutely love this kid. And the kid that they drafted in the 2nd round, I think it was last year, the defenseman, the big Finnish kid, I think it was a Finnish kid that they drafted. They like him too. So
yeah, they're not anything shiny that's worth anything yet. They're good prospects. They're not anything that is worth for a team to take back the center of package.
No, I understand that. But if I was Lou Lamoriello, I would understand that this team is done And there's no chance in hell they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, look at the Atlantic Division right now. You have Boston, Florida. Boston has 81 points. Florida has 80. Toronto has 74. Detroit has 70. They're a playoff team. Tampa, I can't see Tampa not making the playoffs. They have 69. So that's 5 teams automatically are going to make the playoffs right there. Then you have the Rangers, 81. You have Carolina. They have 74. And then Philadelphia has 67. Even though New Jersey, who obviously has a game in hand on Philadelphia, I just don't think New Jersey's that good of a team. Their goal differential is a -12 this year. They were a positive, I think, 25 last year. They're not the same team they were. And then there's Washington that are -31 in their goal differential. They've been horrible, and they're going to have to rebuild. I mean, Ovechkin could retire at the end of the year. I know he wants to. Well, obviously he wants to break Gretzky's goal record, but I don't know if that's going to happen. He's not the same player he once was. So this is his worst goal scoring year we've seen ever. I mean, even his rookie year, I think he scored 50 goals. So he's never had a bad year like this. So, and usually when you look at guys like Ovechkin, I don't know how many goals he has this year.
16.
What is it, 16? Yeah. So he might have 30 goals by the end of the year, which when you look at
I
Ovechkin,
don't think that's happening. He's been he scored 7 since the All-Star break. But I don't know. I don't think, especially if they start selling and they trade away some pieces, he has 2 more years after this year. I don't think he retires. I think he finished out that contract. But you look at where he is right now. Depending on what happens the rest of the year, I don't think he will end up breaking his record.
And then there's the New York Rangers. And the Rangers are playing great hockey right now. They were on a 10-game winning streak before they just lost a game. I mean, they were playing fantastic. And they're still one of the hottest teams in the NHL. They've been the hottest team in the NHL since the All-Star break. They knocked off the Islanders in the outdoor game, the series game, which I made me sick to my stomach. I mean, the Islanders should have won that game, but they don't play defense. That's been their problem. And penalty killing. And Mayfield put himself in such a bad position in that game. He had 3 penalties in the game and 2 bad ones in the third period, which cost the Islanders in the game and why the Islanders lost the game. But not that. I want to get off the Islanders. The Rangers have played sensational hockey. Panarin is right now an MVP candidate. Zibanejad is starting to play pretty good hockey. Kreider's had a very good season. We're finally seeing something from Alexis Lafreniere. I mean, so maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel for him. And then obviously, Kaapo Kakko's played better in the last week and a half. I think the Rangers should look to move him. I don't think there's a future over there. And I maybe moving to another destination, going to another team where he has a better chance, maybe with a better coach that kind of could get him back on track. This kid was one of the best Finnish players we've seen since Timo Solani. People comparing his skills to Timo Solani with his size and his ability, his skating and hands, and he's just not been the same player that everybody thought he was going to be coming after the juniors.
Some guys just can't adjust to the speed of the game. Sometimes.
No, I don't even think it's the speed of the game. I just think it's a confidence. I don't think he has the confidence. He was a confident player in juniors. He was one of the best in the world. He came to the NHL as the second pick right behind Jack Hughes and everybody. And forever, he's always going to be forever compared to Jack Hughes, unfortunately. And Jack Hughes is a superstar player. He is. And Jack Hughes has not been healthy all season long, and it has hurt the New Jersey Devils. But again, when you look at the Rangers, there's quite a few moves the Rangers can make. Now, they need center depth. That's something that they've been lacking for the last couple of years. By the way, the Rangers center play and their faceoffs have been a lot better this year than they've been in a very long time. So you have to give a guy like Peter Laviolette, he's figured things out and what he needs to do to get this team playing at the top of their game. The problem really right now with the Rangers is consistency as far as the goal scoring is concerned. They've played very well defensively all season long. I have to give them a lot of credit. It's not their goaltending that's really stood out this year. It's their defense. They've been sensational. Their goal differential right now is a +34. They're 20-7 at home. They're 19-10 away. I mean, if you look at where they are and the way they position themselves this year, they look like they're going to run away with the Metropolitan Division. The question is, are they going to be able to do this in the playoffs? This has been a huge problem for the Rangers when they get into the playoffs. They play faster teams, younger teams, and they get their socks blown out. But I think it's going to be different this year. I think Peter Laviolette, he's won a Stanley Cup before. He's made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. He understands what he needs to do and get this team playing at the top of their game. Like I said, I think that the Rangers need to add offensive depth. And if they can add maybe one or two pieces at the trade deadline, you don't have to give up a lot for them. I mean, the Rangers have a very good farm system. They have two really good prospects that are going to be coming up in the farm system for the next 2 seasons. And that's why you're going to see some of these pieces, maybe the Goudreaus of the world, they're going to move on from them because they're going to bring these younger guys up to come and play with the big boys. Now, where do the Rangers go at the trade deadline? And I listen, there are quite a few players that we've heard over the last couple of weeks. We've heard Tarasenko's name being brought up again. Could they make a move for Tarasenko? Ottawa looks like they're done. I mean, he went there for 1 year. He wanted the money. The Rangers could look into bringing Vladimir Tarasenko. You bring him back. He plays very well with Panarin. He played very well with Kreider last year. So maybe you bring him up. What's the kid with the? What's the kid they had? It's one of the. I think he plays for San Jose this year.
Bushnevich.
No,
he plays for St. Louis. He's on. Not. You're saying. Kevin Mott?
No. V with the V.
He's on Anaheim. Vetrano.
Yes, Vetrano. Vetrano's another guy that you've heard his name being brought up over the last week. Vetrano. I think he played in the All-Star game this year. He's been a sensational player this year. So I would like to see Vetrano be one of those guys that they could possibly make a move for. I'm sorry?
That'll be a good pickup.
It would be a great pickup. And
he can play center. So that's why gives him versatility. He can play the wing. He can play center, and I think that would be a good addition. Like I've also mentioned Jeff Carter. I think that would be a great pickup for just having his experience. He's older, but he can play the 10, 12 minutes on the fourth line. He still has like a 60-something face-off percentage, and I think that's just would be a great fourth line center for them going the rest of the season into the playoffs, having a guy of that kind of experience.
Also, Jordan Eberle is another guy that a lot of people, obviously looks like Seattle is done. They're a shell of what they were last year. And since they've come to the NHL, this is a team that looked really, really good and played sensational last year. And Jordan Eberle was a big part of that. And he made the All-Star team last year and he was playing. And now this year, he's having a pretty good season. Not a great season, but a pretty good season. He's putting the puck in the net, which we expect. Ex-Islander. He would be another guy that you could put on the wing. You could do so many different things with him. He plays that aggressive style. Obviously, he's the kind of guy that Peter Laviolette loves. So he's definitely a unique player that the Rangers could look at if they really want to fill in the spot. Also, Adam Henrique, another guy, came from the Devils organization. He was another guy that, guess who drafted him? Lou Lamoriello was the guy that drafted him. So another guy that's a veteran player that can win faceoffs. Alex Wenberg is another one that I've heard. And what are you making faces for?
I'm just thinking that would be very funny if Henry goes to the Rangers after that 2012 playoff series against them.
Well, listen, it doesn't matter. Different coach, different team. It's a different team. It really is. Now, obviously, what Adam Henrique did with the Devils and what was going on with that Devils series in the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, obviously, it's definitely it definitely doesn't fit. But again, it does fit when you look at the roster and where the Rangers are trying to fill in certain spots. Alex Wenberg and Tommy Novak is another guy that I've heard over the last couple of weeks.
I look at the standings. I don't see anybody in the East that can probably beat the Rangers. There's nobody that
Boston.
I think the Rangers are better.
And Florida. I love Boston, and I'm going to tell you this. Watch out for the Florida Panthers. I believe in this team, and Matthew Tkachuk is getting hot. And listen, I did
Florida
not.
Could, yeah. I could. Florida could really give them trouble. I could agree with that. Boston, I think Boston's a team that could end up getting upset early in the playoffs because they just don't have they're lacking the experience down the middle, and I think that could affect them this year in the playoffs. I'm big on center depth and center experience when it comes to the playoffs, and I look at them and how young they are down the middle after losing Krejci and Bergeron.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're a team that could get upset.
We all know Sergei Bobrovsky and what he did last year in the playoffs, taking his team all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. But this team is loaded. Florida is still loaded. This roster is loaded. They have a tremendous amount of talent on this roster, and Sam Reinhart's having a sensational year, one of his best years of his career. There's a good chance he could be a 50-goal scorer this year. He'll be. Now, obviously, nobody's going to beat. And I'll say this, nobody's going to beat Matthews for the MVP. I think Matthews is on his way to win the MVP. He's going to score about 70 goals. He's on his way. And that says a lot because Toronto is right there. We all know they're choke artists in the playoffs. But Toronto is right there. They have 74 points. They're getting great goal scoring from so many different weapons. They're another team that I think this is the best chance for the Toronto Maple Leafs to start to be a favorite to coming out of the Eastern Conference this year. They're getting good goaltending this year, especially so far in the second half. I've seen a different team, and they're getting great goal scoring. And when you have Matthews and Mordo, and all these guys, Marner, and all these other guys that they have, and Tavares has played decently this year, they're getting enough from these secondary players. And if they're getting enough, I think Toronto is going to be a dangerous team. So I think you say nobody can beat the Rangers. I think Carolina gives the Rangers fits all the time. They give them fits.
They do, but they have really bad goaltending, and that's really a question.
So does half the teams in the Eastern Conference.
That's true, but look at the Hurricanes. I could try bringing up their goaltending right now.
Here's the thing. Their goals against is 163. The Rangers' goals against is 163. If they can get the defense that they need, it doesn't matter who their goaltending is. They need to put the puck in the net, and that's Carolina. Carolina's fairly healthy. They were not healthy last year going into the playoffs against the Islanders, and I think the Islanders got robbed in the first round, especially the first two games.
That was a winnable series for them.
That was, but I think Carolina's a different team this year. I do. And Rob Brind'Amour needs to take this team further than they were because Rob Brind'Amour might be on the hot seat. And I'll say it again. I don't care how good Robbie's been. He can't get over the hump. This team cannot get into the finals.
If they don't get past the second round, I think he's going to get fired.
I do too. I think Rob Brind'Amour is going to be a viable thought in the offseason for the New York Islanders if they don't want to go back with Patrick Roy. Or, you know what? Lou Lamoriello gets fired and so does Patrick Roy, which could happen in the offseason. Because to me, if I was the owner of the Islanders right now, I would move on with Lou Lamoriello at the end of the season. I think you need to give up on where this team and this roster is going. The Rangers right now are in a good they're in a good place. Now, I'm not a big Chris Drury fan, but I think everything Chris Drury has done over the last 2 years has worked.
You know what's going to happen with the Islanders? I think Lou Lamoriello will be gone after this year, but I think Patrick Roy is going to have a bigger role, and he's going to stay on, and he's going to have a lot more say. I don't think he's going to be GM.
They bring and Lyle, this is the thing. The Islanders are going to have to bring in a new GM, and they're not going to bring in Chris Lamoriello. Okay, they're not bringing him in. He's not taking over for his father. I don't know why anybody thought that was.
Lou, if he leaves, he's not going to get fired. He's going to step down as GM. He'll stay on as president of hockey operations, and then he'll probably hire his son. That's probably the most likely.
And you want to see that as an Islander fan?
I never said that.
I want to see that.
I said I want to see what
Lamoriello and Lou are going to be running this team to the ground. Until
I never said that I want that to happen. What I want to happen is what I just said. What I said, I think I want Patrick Roy to have more of a role. I think that is probably the best situation for them.
I don't want Patrick Roy back next year. If Lou steps down, I want Roy gone. I want to bring in a new GM, a young guy that has been in the league working for one of these organizations like, I don't know, I'm just saying, I'm Carolina. I would like to, maybe the Vegas Golden Knights. I would look at some of the guys that have been working the scouting team off that on that roster. Maybe one of those guys, the assistant coaches or assistant managers or executives that are working for the organization. Vancouver, another organization, has
How about Neil Smith?
Well, I'm sorry.
How about Neil Smith?
I don't think being that Neil, and I love Neil. I think Neil being away from the game as long as he has, I don't know if I'd give him a role on a roster to take over as a GM. Not right now. Maybe as an assistant, maybe to step on the side, and you bring in a young kid, and maybe you bring in these assistants that can help out the young GM and move forward in his career, and in the off season. But I think that you look at Vegas, and by the way, congratulations to the Edmonton Oilers. Ever since they made that switch for coach, this has been Knobloch has been fantastic, and this team has woken up. You see, Connor McDavid's been one of the hottest players, since the All-Star break. I mean, this team is starting to explode. They need goaltending. I could see Edmonton maybe making a run for a goaltender at the trade deadline. I'm sorry.
Well, there's been rumors that Jari could get moved. I would not be shocked if that was there.
Jari, Varlamov is another guy that
I don't think they should trade Varlamov.
I don't know why. I mean, you could get something nice back for him. I don't know why hold on to somebody that, obviously you need to move from. You signed him to a 4-year deal. It's a fairly good contract. What is he making? $3.5 a year?
No, I think he's making less than that.
Whatever. That's even better. He's an affordable contract you can move, and he's a good goaltender. And could you imagine Edmonton getting Varlamov? I mean, they're a contender right there. If you had somebody like Varlamov.
Honestly, I wouldn't. If I was an Oilers fan, I would not think that is a good move for Varlamov. It's
not a good move for Varlamov for Edmonton.
A good move to trade for him. I don't think that he is close to as good as he was just a few years ago. Towards the it was 2021, he had an injury towards the end of that season, and he ended up playing through it into the playoffs. And I think that he might have re-injured or made it worse by doing that, and he hasn't been the same the years after that. I don't think he's the same goalie at all. He moves a lot slower.
So you're going to bet on a guy like Stuart Skinner to take?
No, I never said that. I'm just saying I think Varlamov would not be much of an upgrade.
I think he is. I think you put him over there with Edmonton. You have Connor McDavid, who's one of the best in the world. He is the best in the world, all around in the world, as we've seen him over and over again every single year put up the numbers that he has. But I do believe that you can win with a Varlamov, and Colorado had a very good team with Patrick Roy. And again, Connor McDavid's not putting the goal scoring numbers, but he has 89 points already. He's going to have over 120, 130 points.
Oh, yeah, easily.
So he's not putting the puck in the net, and neither is Leon Draisaitl. Draisaitl, is a shell goal scorer of himself from last year. I think he had 50-something goals. Right now, he's got 28. He's not even going to get close to 50-something goals by the end of the season.
He might get 40.
Yeah, he's going to be a 40-goal scorer. So Draisaitl hasn't had a good year. But
you know what? You look at the last 2 years before that, he had 52 and 55. But then before that, he was at 31, 43. So 40 isn't that much of a drop off.
It is when you're trying to compete with no goaltending. And that's the thing. When you look at their goaltending,
that's a very fair point.
You need the goal scoring, and hey, maybe they're different in the playoffs. Obviously, McDavid and Draisaitl are special players. I mean, I would say they're 1 and 2 in the world. I think they're the 2 best players in the world. But Matthews is right there with them. So, I mean, you can argue that too. I mean, right now, if you were to ask me who the best player in the world this year is, it's Matthews. That's who I think it is. But right there, you have guys of that magnitude. You have McDavid and you have Draisaitl. So you can go back and forth. They're 1, 2, and 3 in the world. So I just think that when you look at the position that the Islanders are in, I think that the Islanders need to look at an executive that's coming from another organization. Colorado is another organization. Under Joe Sakic. I would look at guys over there that you bring in one of those young executives that understand, that have been working under that brand of hockey over the last couple of years. It can help the team out. So Dallas is another team. I would look at some of the executives over there because they've been winning every single year. When everybody thought they were going to fall off, and this guy's gone, that guy's gone, goaltending guys moved. They decided to move this player and move that player. They've built it very well. Dallas right now is I believe, you can argue they're the best in the East. I mean, the best in the West. I know Vancouver's having a great year, and they have 82 points, and I think they lead the NHL with the most points, and they're fantastic. They got speed, they got goal scoring, they're playing great defense, they're getting goaltending. I still think Dallas could be the best team in all of the NHL. So they've got everything too. They got goaltending, they got defense, and they can score goals at will. They're getting goal scoring on all four lines, Dallas. They've been fantastic. And by the way, the Islanders are playing them tonight. So I'm not excited about that either.
That's going to be a very tough game. But they beat them. That was
I know.
Law's first win as the Islanders coach. I'm looking at some staff from Colorado. They could hire
they could hire a lot of people.
Kevin McDonald is their Colorado Avalanche assistant GM.
Whatever.
He won a cup with the Rangers in '94. He won a cup with the Blues in 2019. So he has experience. He's never been a GM in the NHL. He's been assistant GM a lot.
That's who you want. You want a guy that's
He's older. He is no, that's not him. I didn't say his age.
It doesn't matter how old he is.
He's definitely on the older side. You know what? Hey, he's won cups. He knows what it takes to win. That's a guy that I think is probably...
Look how fast Colorado is. It's the new age of the hockey. You need speed, and the Islanders have none.
He wasn't there to build that team. He was only there for a couple of years. That team was built before he got there.
He helped build that Blues team.
Yeah, he was there for a long time.
He was one of the guys
for the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's I think a very good
hire.
Yeah.
We'll see. But so the Rangers can make those kind of moves, and the Islanders need to be sellers. So we know that the Rangers should be buyers and the Islanders should be sellers at the trade deadline. We'll see what happens. The Rangers are definitely going to be buyers. The Islanders, I have a bad feeling they're going to be buyers too, because
I don't think they're going to do anything.
I think they're going to do something.
I think they trade nobody. They don't sell anybody. Maybe they trade Clutterbuck for a 7th round pick. But I don't.
What's that going to do? It's this last year. Clutterbuck is done.
Well, I think that's the why they would trade him. Trade him to a very good team who's looking for somebody on the low end. Maybe he'll probably be like a 13th, 14th forward.
Clutterbuck doesn't want to leave. I think Clutterbuck has been here in Long Island. His family lives over here. He loves Long Island. I think he plans to retire here. I don't think Clutterbuck will be traded. I think they have to look at Brock Nelson.
I think they're going to do it to give him a chance at a cup, and I think he's going to want that.
All right. Getting into obviously spring training for the Yankees and the Mets. Here's the thing. I got a couple of texts today about the Yankees, how good the Yankees, have played so far spring training. It's spring training, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter. Boston lost, I think, 5 or 6 games in spring training last year. Look at their record. Okay. Boston was not good. Boston was not good all season long. But if you look at what the Red Sox did in the spring training, they played pretty well. So I'm not going to buy. Now, Soto looks good. He looks good in the lineup. Some of these second-tier players, Spencer looks like he's going to be a player for the Yankees. The young kid, the young outfielder that a lot of people are comparing to the power of Aaron Judge, his ability to hit the ball. He could be the future right fielder for the Yankees, or maybe left fielder for the Yankees. If Soto's gone, you have Dominguez, Judge, and then Spencer out there for the future. Yankee fans are licking their lips, but if you go into the offseason, you lose Juan Soto. When you look at what you gave up for him, that would be a bad loss for the Yankees. And no matter what Juan Soto does, if the Yankees don't win the World Series and they lose Juan Soto to free agency, it was a bad move by the Yankees. So Juan Soto, yes, he looks like he's going to be a 50 home run hitter in Yankee Stadium. He looks like he's on his way, that trajectory could happen. And he could give the Yankees 140 RBIs and he's the MVP. You do not want to see Juan Soto hit 50 home runs this year as a Yankee fan. You also don't want to see him hit 130 RBIs, and I'll tell you why. Because if the Yankees don't win, he goes to free agency. When you talk about what Ohtani made in this offseason, $700 million, they're going to be teams, the Mets, Toronto, all San Francisco, all these teams that have a lot of money, and they're going to be like licking their lips. All right, you want 700? I'll give you 800.
Do you think that the Giants would miss out on getting another massive hitter like
No.
they did with Judge? No way. They're not missing out a third time because they tried to get Ohtani also. This will be the third time they miss out on a megastar in the offseason. They're not doing that. They're not going to miss out on that again. They're going to give however much money Soto wants. And I'm going to let you know, if you're a Yankee fan, like, he's going to free agency regardless of what happens.
No matter what, yeah. I know that. He's
a Boris agent. He will be a free agent. He will talk to the Yankees. He will talk to the Dodgers. He'll talk to every big money team out there, and then he'll have a bidding contest. And the Yankees are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to offer him a contract. It'll be a big competitive contract, and they're going to say, "Well, hey, if you want to come back here to Yankee Stadium, this is what you're going to have to take." And
they're going to offer him $500 million. That's all they're going to offer.
And there's going to be teams that offer him more.
Yeah, they're going to be teams offering him 7, maybe even 8.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be the first $800 million player. I mean, if you look at San Francisco, even Boston, they haven't really done anything, and they have a new GM over there. Maybe even just to stab the Yankees in the back, I could see them doing it. Philadelphia, obviously, we all know Trey Turner's there and Bryce Harper's there. They have a very rich owner that'll open up his pockets. Don't be surprised if that happens. And I'm going to tell you this right now. There's no dark horse to this. The New York Mets.
Please.
The New York Mets are making a run at him. They're going to make a run at him.
Don't give me that image of Harper, Turner, and
could happen.
Soto all on Philadelphia. Please.
It could happen.
Now, if you don't
know you're a Nationals guy.
I'm a big Nationals fan. That would be like the toughest thing for me to ever watch in the world.
Well, it could happen. I mean, there are a lot of rumors that it might happen. And so, and I think the National League East, even the Braves might even make a run for Soto.
He's very good friends with Acuna.
No, everybody is. But I mean, everybody is, but I think Philadelphia, the Braves, and the Mets are going to be teams that are going to be up. Also, the Blue Jays, they're going to be looking for a power. They went after Ohtani this offseason. I wouldn't be surprised because, look, they have 2 guys in Vladimir Guerrero Jr., he's going to be up for a contract. Bichette is going to be up for a contract. 2 guys that they might not be able to sign. If they lose one of them, they can bring Soto right in and pay him. So I'm telling you right now, if you're a Yankee fan, you cannot. I know Yankee fans want to see him hit 60 home runs and 55 home runs. The more home runs he hits, the more RBIs he has, and the better he makes the Yankees look, the more money he's going to make. And that's you're gonna sell that, and you could take that to the bank. And I don't care what Brian Cashman says. And Brian Cashman says he's definitely going to free agency, and we're going to make a run for him. But there's no guarantees to it. There is no guarantees. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This isn't the same Yankees team. Hal Steinbrenner, who's trying to make a move for Blake Snell. There are stories coming out that Hal's willing to even – right now, the Yankees have the highest payroll in baseball right now. And now with Soto getting the $30 million. And now you're going to go after Blake Snell, who's going to get $30 million. Maybe the Yankees are looking at $30 to $32 million. If you pay Blake Snell, what do you do in the offseason? Now, if Garrett Cole opts out of the contract and he leaves, then you have room to make a move for a guy like Juan Soto, because then, you're taking $37 million off. Juan Soto is going to want about $65 million. You're going to have to pay him probably an extra $25 million to get the deal done a year. Mm-hmm. Maybe the Yankees make that move if they lose Garrett Cole, but I have a bad feeling he's going to the Mets. I'm just telling you the truth. I really, he's very close with Francisco Lindor. He loves Citi Field. Supposedly, this is what I've heard. He grew up a Yankee fan, but he always had this fetish with the Mets, and he loved Citi Field. So I just have this bad feeling.
I wouldn't doubt that.
I have a feeling that's where he's going, but and the Mets don't have to give anything up for him. And David Stearns is licking his lips because he knows next year's offseason is going to be a big offseason, because I expect the Mets to spend over $1 billion. I expect it.
I can picture it.
So they're not doing it this year. You look at their pitching staff. the Mets right now, they're 2-1 in spring training. They're going to stink. Okay. I'm sorry for all you Met fans. Your number one pitcher right now is Katana. Good luck. Good luck. When you look at that rotation, that makes you want to hurl. All right. You have now Luis Severino. Maybe he has a good year this year. He finds his way with the with the Mets from the Yankees. He didn't look good when he got called up last year, but maybe another year under his belt. Maybe he gets his location back, and maybe he still throws 100. Maybe there's something that the Mets found in Severino. I doubt it, but who knows? A lot of these guys are second tier, third tier pitchers. They thought obviously, and Senga was going to be the guy. He was going to be the number one guy this year. And maybe I said I wanted to see him in his sophomore year, and we'll get a chance to see it. When you hear shoulder problems, you have to worry if you're a Met fan. You have to. So
the Mets have a very bad history with injuries, and this is not good. Anytime somebody gets injured on the Mets, I automatically think red flag. I don't know what it is, but for a long time now with pitchers on the Mets, it's getting injuries is just not good for them. It's been happening. It's been a consistent issue for a long time.
And then there's the Knicks and basketball. And the Knicks right now are playing, obviously they're 20 games over 500, 21 games over 500. So they're having a sensational year. But the last, I would say, 3 weeks has not been good for the Knicks. They've been chasing. Jalen Brunson's been unbelievable, but they have no secondary offense. They really don't. They brought Bogdanovich. Bogdanovich has come back from a little bit of an injury after the All-Star break. He's giving them some kind of offense. They need Julius Randle back. They need Mitchell Robinson back, and they need OG Anunoby, they're getting killed by wing offensive players. Look at what the Celtics did to the Knicks. Look what Jaylen Brown did to the Knicks a few days ago. So the Knicks need OG Anunoby back. So they need wings, and they need to get back to that health. But it's been very impressive. Leon Rose, everything that he's done over the last couple of years has been sensational. Bringing Jalen Brunson in, maneuvering certain players, making that trade for Bogdanovich and Alec Burks a few weeks ago. It's put the Knicks right there. If they can get healthy right now, they're playing Detroit right now. Detroit's up 14-10. I don't think that's going to stay like that, but
imagine.
But I don't think it's going to stay like that. But how
many games have they won this year, Detroit?
8.
5? Oh,
8. They won.
I'm impressed.
8-48.
Maybe they'll get double digits. Woo!
No, they're not going to beat the Knicks tonight.
No, I meant maybe they'll get double-digit wins in the season.
I cannot see the Knicks losing this game. I don't care how bad they look tonight. I cannot see them
lose this game. That's really bad.
I don't think they're going to lose the game, but
I don't either. But that's still really bad.
I do believe that obviously Cade Cunningham is a guy that a lot of people think that the Knicks could be interested in, maybe in the offseason of bringing in as another guy that could be that future point guard for this team or second tier point guard for this roster. He was the number one pick a couple of years ago. He's a guy that the Knicks have always liked. And obviously Bogdanovich, who is going to be an expiring contract after next year. The Knicks are going to have a lot of money. They're going to have they might have enough with 2 max contracts, even with Randle. Randle has a player option in the offseason. It's $40 million. But if Randle wants to opt out because he wants another big contract or another extension, it won't be with the Knicks. And I could see the Knicks looking at Maxey or somebody like that if they become available. So I've been very impressed with the Knicks. I am not going to put my hopes up yet. Their schedule is going to get a little bit more interesting in the next couple of weeks. I'm looking at their schedule right now. Right now, they have the Pelicans after Detroit. They have the Warriors, the Cavaliers, the Hawks, the Magic, the 76ers, the 76ers. By the time they play the back-to-back games against the 76ers, they're going to have Joel Embiid back. So
there is news from the Jets. They are going to be releasing Tomlinson.
I'm sorry?
The New York Jets are going to be releasing.
I said Tomlinson. That. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen.
Well, yeah, but it just broke that's going to be happening. It got reported by ESPN.
Well, I knew that was going to happen, and they're
probably
trying
said that
to
in the past, but it just got announced by.
They're going to shed contracts, and this is what they're doing. They're trying to bring back Bryce Huff. That's what they're trying to do. I don't know if they're going to, but they're going to try to do that. And right now, with the cap going up for, and I just want to finish up with basketball.
Yeah, go for it.
We'll go to football. I just want to say the Knicks have a very good chance. Their schedule gets a little bit more difficult in the next 2 weeks, and then it starts to come down. And they do have the Thunder and the Heat, but their schedule, they have the Bulls a couple of times. They have the Celtics once. They have the Nets. They have the Bulls. So their schedule isn't easy, but their schedule is a lot easier than most teams in the NBA. I think they have one of the easiest schedules in the second half. So the Knicks should be a top 4 team if they can get healthy in the next 2 weeks with Randall and Anunoby, and then obviously Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks could be in a very good shape. Now, as far as the Lincoln Tomlinson thing, thank you for shedding the break. I expected Lincoln Tomlinson to be gone. I knew that was going to happen. He did not have a good second half this season. His first half was iffy as well.
He was bad last year too.
I just think we all know who's coming back on that offensive line. Tipman obviously is the future center of that team. Mm-hmm. Elijah Vera Tucker has one more year to prove that he can stay healthy. I mean, when he is in the lineup, he's fantastic. He's sensational, but he can't stay healthy. Mekhi Becton's gone. Okay, we figured that out. I think they're going to be positioned to go after a left tackle in this year's draft. And this is what I think the Jets need to do. Keep Elijah Vera Tucker at that right tackle position. That's what I would do. You don't have to look for a tackle. You can fill in guard positions. You can bring in veteran guards. You go after a left tackle in the draft. Whoever's sitting there at 10, if you like Alt, if he's there, you like the Penn State kid. I don't want the Penn State guy. I would go after the Oregon State guy.
That's what I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts, and a lot of people are predicting the Jets to take him. But the thing is, he is a guy who has predominantly played right tackle his career.
It doesn't matter.
And he would have to make the adjustment to left tackle.
He's athletic, and that's, to me, is very, very important. He's Hawaiian too, so I like that too. So
he's Hawaiian?
Are you talking about the Penn State kid?
No, I'm talking about the guy from Oregon State.
Yeah, he's Hawaiian.
Yeah,
he's Hawaiian.
What does that matter?
A lot of these Hawaiian offensive linemen that have come into the NFL have played very well. So
that's a very good thing.
If you look at four Hawaiians that have come into the NFL in the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years, have been successful. I think 2 or 3 of them have been Pro Bowl players. So, and one of them is an All-Pro. I think he's the best. Panay Sewell, I think, is the best in the world right now, the best tackle in the world.
I would agree.
So I think that the kid from Oregon State is the guy that I think the Jets are looking at. He had a very good senior ball. I'm very bad with these names, so I'm not going to mention his name. But I think that's where the Jets are going. I think they go tackle in the first round. They don't have a second round draft pick. Now, if I were the Jets, if one of these, and I'm saying this, if any of these wide receivers fall or quarterbacks fall at 10, I trade back. That's what I would do. I trade back because the Oregon State kid could be right there at 15 or 16. Yep. He could be sitting there. You could still get the guy that you want. You can get your second pick back for the Aaron Rodgers thing. And you could be sitting pretty right now. I mean,
depending on how many teams want that pick, what they could do is try and get another first. And maybe in next year's draft.
You can't get a first at 10. I don't.
I think if you have 2 teams bidding against each other and they really want a player, I could definitely.
Is there a quarterback right there at 10 that is worth trading another first for? I don't know.
It depends. It depends.
If Patrick Mahomes is there, yeah, I would do it.
So I don't think he's gonna fall, but if let's say Harrison falls to 10, not gonna happen. But if he is, I think they could definitely get 2 first-round picks for him. Maybe 1 from this year and then 1 from next year. And then you use that 1 from next year.
You think Marvin Harrison's going to fall out?
No. I said
top 4?
I didn't say he is. I said I don't think he is.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Marvin Harrison will be there at 4. Arizona's drafting him. I don't think Chicago's going Caleb Williams. Washington, unless Washington moves up to get him.
Do you think that is him not doing the
He's not, and a lot of these number 1 picks, they don't do the combine. He's not throwing at the combine, but he'll throw at his pro day. He's going to, and his agent told him to do this. And the reason why
I think it's stupid.
I don't. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you wait, you watch what these guys do at the combine, what the talks are, and then you go out there at your pro day and show everybody why you're the best player in this year's draft. And we've seen them do that. We've seen all these potential number 1 draft picks. And it looks like the 2 top quarterbacks going into this class, are probably not going to throw at the combine. They're going to throw on their pro day. So, again, I think that where you look at Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to go 4. That's where I think he's going. Arizona's going to draft him. Kyler Murray is going to be matched up with him. He's a sensational player. It looks like Malik Neighbors is going to go to the Giants. I would be very surprised if the Giants don't draft him. I think he's a sensational player. The last LSU kid that they drafted was Odell Beckham. LSU wide receivers are really, really good in the league. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, you name it. That's the 2 of the best, 2 of the top 6, top 7 wide receivers in the league. So, I expect him, Malik Neighbors. I can predict. Here's the thing: if you're a Jet fan, if all falls to you at 10, do you draft him?
Oh, 100% in a heartbeat.
If all falls to you at 10, do you draft him?
In a heartbeat. I wouldn't even let that clock go down a minute. I'm up there already taking him. I would not hesitate.
It's going to be very interesting. It really is. And I want to see what Alt does.
Do you think it's realistic that he falls down?
It is. And I'll tell you why. Let me look at the draft. Let me bring it up before we go. I'm going to bring the NFL Tankathon. Let's go to NFL Tankathon. Bam. NFL Tankathon. Here we go. Chicago's drafting a quarterback. Washington's drafting a quarterback. New England is drafting a quarterback. Arizona's drafting a wide receiver. Now, LA.
There was a report today by the Chicago writer who retired that says the feeling he gets that Chicago's going to trade the pick.
Okay, then it's going to trade to Washington. Caleb Williams, they're only going to jump 1 spot, and they're going to have to give up a pick, a first-round draft pick.
And they'll probably take Marvin Harrison.
Are they?
That's what I would think they would do.
Justin Fields? You can't keep Justin Fields?
That's what I was reading earlier, was that they expect them to trade the pick and keep Justin Fields.
I don't believe it. The Chargers at 5 could draft an offensive lineman. I think they're going to get a playmaker. I think they're going to get either a tight end. I could see Bowers, a guy that everybody loves in this draft. He's a game-changing tight end, as we've seen Laporta do this year with the Lions. He was a 2nd-round draft pick. So I could see Bauer. The Giants, Malik Neighbors, Tennessee could draft an offensive lineman. If they do, I'll be surprised. Atlanta, they're drafting Atlanta's drafting a quarterback. That's what I think. Chicago is going to draft probably a wide receiver at number 9.
So Neighbors, you're going to say Neighbors is wide receiver, correct?
Yes.
So Neighbors and Harrison will both be gone. Then who is the 3rd wide receiver?
Odunze.
Oh, Odunze. Yes, I have.
From Washington.
I saw some mocks earlier in before the playoffs ended, thinking he could go to the Jets, but I don't think that's happening.
I don't want Odunze. I don't want another wide receiver. I'm going to get a wide receiver in free agency. I'll get a Calvin Ridley. That's what I would do. Bring in a big, long guy. You're not going to have to overpay. You bring in Calvin Ridley. He's probably the cheapest, best wide receiver that's going to be available. You can get him for $14 million.
What's his name? I keep forgetting. The guy from San Francisco.
Which one? Brandon Ayuk?
He's a free agent, right?
Yes, but a lot of people believe that San Francisco is going to do everything they can to re-sign him. If they don't, he's going to be very expensive. And if I were the Jets, I wouldn't pay the money for him. And I wouldn't go after Devontae Adams after hearing what the Las Vegas Raiders are going to want. They want 2 first-round draft picks. That's not going to happen.
That's insane.
Yeah, so that's he's 32. He's going to be 32 this year. I'm not giving him.
I would give him 2 2s, but not that. No,
I wouldn't even give him 2 2s. I give him a 2 and a 3. That's what I give him. Yeah, I don't have a 2 this year. I give him a 2 next year. I give him my 3 this year. You don't have a second or third round draft pick.
I think that's realistic.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to happen. Atlanta, Tennessee, and I would think the Chargers, Tennessee, and Atlanta are the 3 teams ahead of the Jets that could be looking at an offensive lineman. I don't think. I think LA is going to be looking for a playmaker because, Jim Harbaugh is there. Atlanta, I think, is going to either a defensive player, the linebacker from Alabama, could be sitting there and could be a very good pick for Atlanta to get a all-world linebacker to that defense. So maybe they do that, or quarterback. I could see Atlanta doing quarterback too. If a quarterback falls, I could see them going quarterback. The only team that I think that could draft an offensive lineman is Tennessee. That's the only team ahead of the Jets that will go offensive line.
Do you think the Jets could trade up?
I'm sorry?
Do you think they could trade up?
No, I don't think the Jets are going to trade up. I think the Jets will sit there. I think they're fine where they're sitting, and they'll get the offensive lineman, the second-tier offensive lineman they want. Now, the Oregon State kid, if you look at his numbers, he's good runs. He's a good run guy, and he's a good pass blocker. He could do everything, just like Alt. The kid from Penn State is the guy that a lot of people are worried about, that he might not be a tackle in this league, and some people think he's better off just being a guard. So I don't think the Jets need a top guard. I think they need a top tackle. So I think that if Alt falls off the board, I think it's the Oregon State kid at number 10. So that's what I think. As far as the Giants concerned, I told you, Malik Neighbors. That's the guy. That's the guy they're going to be hunting for. Hopefully he's there. I think he will be. I don't see Chicago, Washington, New England, Arizona, or LA drafting him. He will be sitting pretty over there for the Giants at number 6. And they're going to get him. And I think he's a game changer. He's that kind of player. So I think the Giants are going to get a guy that's speed, the speed. They haven't had a weapon like that in such a long time. It changes everything. It changes the whole roster and the whole thought of the roster. So I think that's where they go. So that's really it. The combine's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the quarterbacks that people have been talking about. Penix is a guy that's going to be, I think he's throwing at the combine this weekend.
I watched him throw in the championship game, and he made some really bad throws that game.
He is Lamar Jackson. I'm telling you.
So he can't.
Now, I don't know if he's got a good arm. He doesn't have the arm strength of Lamar. I mean, but he's more accurate than Lamar Jackson, and he's got the legs. And
I don't know. You tell me
you got to build your team, your offense around him.
If you compare someone to Lamar, to me, I wouldn't want to use a first-round pick on that. If I'm
Lamar was a first-round draft pick. He's also a 2-time MVP.
One time, right?
2-time.
When he won the second one.
He won the one this year. He was the MVP this year for the NFL. Okay. Yeah, he won the MVP this year.
I don't think it should have been him.
I do. Did you see what he did to the 49ers at the end of the season? 5 touchdowns in that game.
I don't think
in San Francisco.
I don't think he had the best season of a quarterback.
I didn't see he had the best season as a quarterback.
Someone else had better seasons, and they should have been MVP.
I just look at what these guys do in the biggest parts, in the biggest games, and he showed up in the biggest games, except the AFC title game. He did not show up in that game.
I don't know. I still think it should have been Dak.
Listen, don't tell that to Jeff. Okay, he'd probably chop your head off or your balls off and hang it from your ears or something like that.
Listen, Dak had a phenomenal year this year.
I thought he did too, but a lot of people didn't like the big when he played against some of the good teams, he couldn't put up those numbers. So a lot of people were questioning Dak. Honestly,
sounds like they were just looking for. They were looking for a reason to not vote for him because there was definitely a. I don't want to say agenda, but definitely a vendetta in the NFL against Dak, and I think it's because he's on the Cowboys. But there's a lot of people in the NFL who
I like Dak. I'm
not saying you don't, but there's a lot of guys in the NFL who look at Dak and try and find any reason to look down on him.
2 guys that really should have. It's either Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. Josh Allen had a sensational second half, and Josh Allen did everything he can to get his team into the playoffs. He did wonderfully. I thought it was Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I can't go anywhere else when it came to the, Dak had a good first half. It was the second half where the numbers wouldn't show that he was the MVP of the NFL. So I think it was Lamar or it was Lamar or whatchamacallit. I'm sorry. I completely
Josh Allen.
Yeah,
I said my reasons why I'm not a fan of that play style for a quarterback. I'm never going to want to have a quarterback with that style. If I'm using a first round pick, we're drafting a guy who I think can be there for 10, 15 years. And I don't think that a guy like Lamar is going to be able to have the
longevity. You don't like Lamar. I understand you don't like Lamar, but I'm going to tell you something. Lamar's going to be here for 15 years. I mean, he's barely got a bad
injury. There, but he's probably not going to be there at high quality. He's already had a knee injury. He's already
not really. I mean, ankle injuries, not knee injuries.
He had a knee injury last year.
No,
wasn't he did.
No, wasn't a knee.
Yeah,
but it wasn't an ACL. It wasn't an MCL.
No, it wasn't that. But
it wasn't one of those big knee injuries.
It wasn't that. But like once he gets to 30, his legs are going to drop off big time. And then once he does, then he's going to have to rely more on his passing game, and then that changes everything. And that's really going to where we're going to see how good of a quarterback he is. And I think when you take away the weapon of his legs,
I'm going to let you know something. This guy has been a 2-time MVP. He has a good chance of maybe winning another one before he's even 30. Okay. I mean, for you to say that Lamar Jackson shouldn't be where he is, or he's not as good as he looks to be.
I never said he's not as good. I'm just saying he's not the type of quarterback I am a fan of. That style of play is not something for me.
Now, Patrick Mahomes, who uses his legs just as much as anybody, you're going to say that Patrick Mahomes is that much better than Lamar Jackson?
Yes, 1,000%.
I disagree.
Patrick
Mahomes has a better coach. He has Andy Reid.
Patrick Mahomes does not rely on his legs. Where Lamar Jackson,
are you kidding me?
Jackson, if you take away, listen, Mahomes is the quarterback who is throw first and then has the ability to run when needed. Lamar Jackson is a quarterback that will run first.
I think that you misunderstand the way Patrick Mahomes plays, because he uses his legs just as much as Lamar Jackson does in games. He really does. He's inside and outside the pocket. He always rotates to right or left. He's got a great arm, and he's got probably the best arm in football. But Lamar Jackson has a slingshot too. Okay, he's not some peewee who can't throw the ball. The one thing I could say about Patrick Mahomes is he's bigger and he's stronger. So yeah, it's harder to take him down, but he's a lot faster than he looks. And by the way, he runs the ball. Maybe he doesn't get as much yardage as Lamar Jackson, but he's right there. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, how many yards did he run? 300 this year? 350? I mean, he's not Lamar Jackson, but he's putting up the numbers of running. He's not Patrick Mahomes. I don't know it, but I want to go. I just want to do
389.
400 yards for Patrick Mahomes.
75 attempts. I think, but like,
that's a lot.
I don't think that's a lot at all.
It's a lot. Check out the league lead. I bet she's probably third. Go look at where the leading boards are. Lamar's won.
Lamar had 821.
I'm sorry?
Lamar had 821.
All right. So he only had 400 more yards running. And Lamar uses his legs more than he throws. Okay. Go look at where Patrick Mahomes is ranked amongst the league. Now, obviously, Hurts is right there too. So it would probably be Lamar, Hurts, Mahomes.
It's Lamar, Fields, Hurts, Jones, Richardson, Dobbs, Allen. Where's Mahomes? It's yards per game, total yards.
What did Hurts have this year?
Mahomes is ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th.
Okay, Mahomes is in the top 10 of running a ball.
But that. But he doesn't use his legs as a
A weapon? He does it all the time.
He doesn't use his legs as his dominant feature to extend the game. If once he gets older and his legs are gone, he's still going to be good enough to move around the pocket and do things, but his arm will still be making him one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson, when his legs are gone, he's not going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
All right, we'll see what happens. Anyways, it's been a good show. Everybody enjoy the combine. It's always fun to watch, see what these guys can do. I mean, they're Wonderlic, whatever the hell it is, when it comes to the testing, but it's going to be fun. And obviously the draft's around the corner. So I hope everybody enjoys it. And again, the NFL is right around the corner again. I mean, you have the draft around my birthday, April 29th, 28th. I forget where it is, but it's going to be fun, as it always is. And if you're a Jets or Giants fan, free agency is going to open up in the next, I would say, month
you know what you should do on the network? Is have a show of Josh and his dad live reactions to the draft.
No.
I'm telling you right now, that would get the most downloads, the most views you have ever had.
No.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Now I'll give it to him on my show, on my network.
Okay, you do that. You can have Nelly and Josh on your show for the draft. That'll be interesting. Anyways, thank you to all the fans as always. We will be back next Monday. Do we have any guests? No guests yet. All right. So we'll be back next week as always. And again, great content, great, great everything. And looking forward to moving forward with the Cross Island podcast. And I guess that's it. I mean, this is Daryl Marks and then Lyle Gillian saying good night. And we'll see you then. Good night. Good night. Good night.